Walter White told over 200 lies throughout Breaking Bad's 5 seasons, making him possibly television's most deceptive character ever created. Every single lie was supposedly to protect his family, or was it? Bryan Cranston didn't just play Walter White. He became him so completely that it earned him 4 Emmy Awards, 3 Golden Globes, and changed our take on television anti-heroes. The same actor who made us laugh as the goofy dad and Malcolm in the Middle transformed into TV's most terrifying father figure. I'm about to walk you through the complete transformation of Walter Hartwell White, from mild-mannered chemistry teacher to the Southwest's most feared drug lord. Chapter 1, Walter White wasn't always Heisenberg. Back in the day, this guy was actually brilliant. We're talking about the co-founder of a tech company that would eventually be worth billions. He conducted research that helped win a Nobel Prize in chemistry, and then life got cruel. After a disastrous 4th of July party with his business partners, Walter walked away from it all, selling his share for just $5,000. Fast forward to his 50th birthday, and Walter's living every middle-aged man's nightmare. He's teaching chemistry to disrespectful teenagers who couldn't care less about molecular structures. And get this, he's washing cars at his second job, the same cars owned by his own students. Talk about a humbling experience that would break most people's spirit. His family situation seems picture perfect from the outside. Beautiful wife Skylar, teenage son Walter Jr., and a baby on the way. But Walter's drowning financially, and the weight of mediocrity is crushing him. Then comes the phone call that changes everything. Stage 3 lung cancer, inoperable, 2 years to live, maybe less. I believe most people would accept their fate, spend time with family, maybe start a bucket list. But Walter White, he saw dollar signs and thought about the $737,000 he calculated his family will need after he's gone. And that's when the chemistry teacher decided to cook something other than educational experiments. Chapter 2. Walter's entry into the meth business starts with blackmail, because nothing says, "I'm the danger," like threatening your former student. He spots Jesse Pinkman escaping a DEA bust, and boom, partnership from hell is born. Their first cook happens in an RV in the desert, and Walter's product is unlike anything the market has seen. Pure blue crystal meth that's 99.1% pure. Only that purity doesn't mean safety, especially when dealing with distributors named Crazy 8 and Emilio. It is at this point we get to see Walter's true colors for the first time. When Emilio recognizes him from the DEA bust and thinks he's an informant, Walter doesn't panic, but improvises. Using his chemistry knowledge, he creates phosphine gas that kills Emilio instantly and incapacitates Crazy 8. The aftermath accelerates Walter's transformation, almost literally. He chains Crazy 8 in Jesse's basement, and for days he contemplates murder. When he finally discovers Crazy 8 has a broken plate shard to attack him with, Walter doesn't hesitate. He strangles the man with a bike lock and starts calculating his next move. He adopts the alias Heisenberg and starts building a reputation that will eventually terrify an entire region. Building an empire means dealing with dangerous people, and Walter's about to meet someone who makes Crazy 8 look like a teddy bear. Chapter 3. Enter Tuco Salamanca, who's a psychopathic drug lord with a temper shorter than Walter's patience for incompetence. When Tuco steals their product and beats Jesse senselessly, most people would cut their losses. Walter marches into Tuco's lair with a bag of what looks like meth, but is actually fulminated mercury. The explosion that follows isn't just about getting paid. It's Walter announcing to the criminal world that Heisenberg isn't someone to mess with. From this moment on, Walter's no longer just cooking meth, he's orchestrating his own legend. But legends come with consequences. Tuco's erratic behavior escalates until he kidnaps both Walter and Jesse, planning to force them to cook for the Mexican cartel. During their escape, DEA agent Hank Schrader, Walter's own brother-in-law, kills Tuco in a shootout. The irony is delicious. Hank has no idea he just eliminated a problem for his brother-in-law's secret criminal enterprise. Walter's living a double life so complex that his DEA agent brother-in-law is unknowingly protecting his meth operation. As things progress, Walter learns a vital lesson about the drug trade. Being smart doesn't cut it. You need to be ruthless. And ruthlessness is exactly what separates Walter White from Heisenberg. Speaking of ruthless, let me ask you something. How far would you go to protect a lie? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because Walter's about to show us exactly how deep someone can sink when pride becomes more important than morality. Chapter 4. Walter's amateur hour ends when he meets Gustavo Fring, a chicken restaurant owner who's actually the Southwest's most sophisticated drug distributor. Gus represents everything Walter thinks he wants to become: professional, calculated, and incredibly wealthy. Working for Gus means cooking in a state-of-the-art underground lab for $1 million a month. But here's the thing about working for someone who built an empire on precision. One mistake can be fatal. Walter's relationship with Gus becomes a chess match between two incredibly intelligent men who both believe they're the smartest person in the room. Walter's ego can't handle being an employee, especially when Gus starts favoring Jesse as a potential replacement. The tension explodes when Walter kills two of Gus's dealers to protect Jesse, directly defying orders. I wouldn't have done it in any other way. There's a need for Walters to control every situation, even when that control threatens everything he's built. Gus responds by planning Walter's replacement, and that's when Walter realizes he's not just an employee, but a liability. The teacher who thought he could outsmart everyone suddenly finds himself in a life-or-death game against a master manipulator. Nevertheless, Walter didn't survive cancer and build a meth empire by backing down. His solution involves a wheelchair-bound old man, a pipe bomb, and one of the most shocking explosions to grace our screens. When the smoke clears, Gus Fring is dead, and Walter White has eliminated his biggest threat. Victory tastes sweet, but power corrupts absolutely. And boy, is our man about to discover that being a drug lord means everyone around you becomes expendable. Chapter 5. With Gus gone, Walter doesn't just want to cook meth, he wants to build an empire. He partners with Mike Ehrmantraut, Gus's former security chief, but their relationship is oil and water from day one. Mike sees Walter for what he really is, a dangerous amateur whose ego will get people killed. Mike's assessment proves prophetic when Walter's pride leads to a train robbery that should have been perfect. They steal methylamine from a moving train without anyone knowing, but then Todd Alquist kills a child witness. The horror on Jesse's face says everything. They're now more than criminals. They're monsters. This is Walter's point of no return. When Mike decides to leave the business and take his share of the money, Walter can't handle the criticism. Mike tells him exactly what we're all thinking. We had a good thing going and you ruined it. Walter's response? He shoots Mike in cold blood, which creates a new problem. 10 of Mike's associates in prison who might talk. Walter's solution is chillingly efficient. He arranges for all 10 men to be murdered simultaneously in different prisons. In 2 minutes, Walter eliminates 10 people to protect his secret. At this point, Walter has earned over $80 million. But money was never really the point. It was about power, respect, and proving that Walter White wasn't the failure everyone thought he was. Unfortunately for Walter, hubris has a way of destroying everything you've built. The beginning of his end comes from the most unlikely source, a book of poetry on his toilet. When Hank finds Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass with an inscription from Gale, the pieces finally click. His mild-mannered brother-in-law has been the drug kingpin he's been hunting all along. Chapter 6. Discovery changes everything. Hank confronts Walter in his garage, and for the first time, Walter can't lie his way out. The cat-and-mouse game that follows is brutal. 2 family members trying to destroy each other while maintaining the pretense of normalcy. Walter's desperation leads him to create a fake confession video claiming Hank is the real Heisenberg. It's brilliant, manipulative, and completely destroys any chance of family reconciliation. But Walter's not done burning bridges. When Jesse figures out that Walter poisoned Brock to manipulate him, their partnership explodes into open warfare. Jesse teams up with Hank to bring down Walter, leading to a confrontation in the desert where Walter has called in a hit squad. The shootout that follows destroys everything Walter claimed he was protecting. Hank dies, Gomez dies, and Walter watches his brother-in-law get executed while begging for his life. The man who said he was doing everything for family just got his family killed. In his final phone call to Skylar, Walter finally admits the truth. I did it for me, I liked it, I was good at it, and I was alive. After 5 seasons of lies about protecting his family, Walter finally confesses that it was always about his own ego. But even in defeat, Walter White has one last lesson to teach us about the price of pride. Chapter 7, Walter's final act takes place on his 52nd birthday, exactly 2 years after his cancer diagnosis. He returns to Albuquerque not for redemption, but for revenge and closure on his own terms. He poisons Lydia with ricin, eliminates Jack's entire crew with a remote-controlled machine gun, and frees Jesse from the meth lab where he's been held prisoner. But the most telling moment comes when Jesse refuses to kill Walter, telling him to do it himself. Walter dies alone in the meth lab, wounded by his own machine gun, surrounded by the equipment that became his obsession. He dies with a smile on his face, not because he found peace, but because he finally got what he always wanted, to be remembered as someone who mattered. The tragic irony of Walter White's story is that he already mattered. He was a teacher, a father, a husband, but that wasn't enough for his ego. He needed to be feared, respected, and remembered as powerful. In the end, Walter White's transformation from Mr. Chips to Scarface wasn't about circumstances or desperation. It was about choice. Every lie, every murder, every betrayal was a choice to prioritize his pride over everything else. In my opinion, Walter White wasn't a victim of circumstances who gradually became evil. He was always Heisenberg. He just needed an excuse to let that monster out. The cancer didn't create the villain. It just gave him permission to stop pretending to be a good man. What do you think? Was Walter White a good man who became evil? Or was he always a monster, waiting for the right moment? Let me know in the comments below. If my analysis into television's greatest anti-hero got you thinking, you'll love our breakdown of how Breaking Bad's ending connects to Better Call Saul. Hit subscribe.